Hi all. So in the last video we finished up making the wide wheel arches and I ended out by showing you my chunky new wheels. But what you didn't get to see is how I made the new wheel tubs. So that's what we'll be covering in this video. So this project started off the same way that most of mine do, with a bit of cardboard aided design. Once I had a shape that I was pretty happy with, I transferred it over to some MDF. The reason I'm doing that is because I'm going to try out a technique I've not done before. Basically I'm going to clamp my piece of metal between two pieces of MDF and then I'm just going to use a hammer to form the shape that I want around the edge. So to get a 90-degree lip on the edge of a panel like this, you'd normally need a shrinker stretcher tool to be able to do that. I don't have one of those, but this technique should allow me to use an ordinary hammer and just force that metal to shrink in on itself to form the lip. That's the idea anyway. So there's my two pieces of MDF, clamped piece of metal in the middle. So now what I'm going to try and do is to just hammer this edge over. I know that the metal is going to need to shrink in on itself, but if I work gradually around it multiple times, I should be able to form this lip. So let's give it a try. So this is definitely a trust the process kind of thing. So as I was going backwards and forwards over the panel, gradually folding it over, getting a bit of an arm work out in the process, I could see ripples were starting to appear. I just had to trust that the more times I passed over them, the smaller they would get as the metal was being forced in on itself. The one thing I did realise is that my piece of MDF is a little bit too thin, as I had an overhang. And that metal hanging over the edge was just not shrinking. So my solution here was just to get a dolly, so I had something to hammer against and just tidy up that edge. But here's something to remember for next time: make sure your piece of MDF is at least as thick as the flange that you're trying to form. It's not perfect, but for a first effort, I think that's pretty damn good. Well, let's get it out of the clamp and see how it looks. Although I usually say I do everything with just tin snips and a dream, having an electric sheet metal shear does come in handy. I don't have a slip roller yet though, so I am still having to form this edge just by bending it over my knee. It works alright though. So once I was happy with the shape of both pieces, I just went around the edge here with my hole punch. I prefer to use this than a drill when I'm working with thin metal. It just tends to distort it less, gives a cleaner hole without any burrs or anything. So once I've gone all the way around here and punched my holes, I could mark through those with a Sharpie onto my other piece of metal and then punch a load of corresponding holes in that. And a load of holes means a load of clecos. These are quickly becoming my favourite fabrication tool. They just hold sheet metal together so nice. They're just quick and easy to put in, quick and easy to take out. They're just one of those wish I bought them earlier tools. So before I hit the point of no return, which is actually welding the two pieces together, I test fitted them in the car just with a few clamps. And yeah, I totally failed to record using the bead roller to put those shapes in the side of the panel. So I'm by no means a pro with a TIG welder, but this was actually one of the nicer bits to weld up. Just use the pulse setting here, makes it easier for me to keep a rhythm and get it at least semi-neat. So I've welded this flange on the edge of the tub, so that's ready to weld in now. I've had it media blasted and zinc phosphate coated. I find that that makes the paint stick a lot better. So this is the outer arch section. And this flange and that flange is how the two will clamp together and weld the two together. Now if I got that right, this should fit up in there. So now I've just got those spot welds up in there to do. And then I've got a few more up underneath where those two clamps are on. And then I can work on going around the outside of here and doing these. So now I've got one tub in there. Just need to grind these back so I can get the other tub welded up to it. Well, about a gajillion plug welds later, and here's where we are. These wheel tubs and the wide arches are definitely one of the biggest and most time consuming parts of the build so far, but they're totally worth it. Being able to fit that big fat tyre out back is not only going to make it look awesome, it should hopefully mean I'm able to put some of that power down too. So as you can tell, there's still some repairs to do to the rear panel, and there's still some pretty big holes in the floor that need filling, but that's all stuff that's going to wait for a later video. So for now, thanks for watching. If you haven't already, do that likey and subscribey thing, and I'll see you in the next one.